In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can make a custom dropdown. We're going to be looking at a very interesting property, which is pointer events, and how setting it to none is what makes all of this possible. And we're also going to be looking at pseudo elements and a little bit of custom properties and a cool little border triangle trick and some other stuff. It's a lot of fun. It makes your select menus look so awesome without having to make a completely custom select menu, which can be so much work. And it really does give it a customized and much nicer look. Hi there and welcome to this video. I'm so excited for you to be here. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kevin, and here at my channel we learn how to make the web and how to make it look good with weekly tips, tricks, and tutorials. And as I said in this one, we're going to be looking at custom select menus. But before we get to that, I just want to let you know that this video is being brought to you by Scrimba. They've introduced a subscription-based model now, so instead of having to purchase every course individually, you can now subscribe. You can get access to their entire range of extremely high-quality courses. They have full 10+ hour courses on things like Vue, React, JavaScript, UI, and of course my own course, the Responsive Web Design Bootcamp. So with this one subscription, you would be getting access to all of those. While you're getting access to their library and any new courses that do come out, you're also getting access to their curated list because there's a lot of courses there. Each one is 10 to 15 hours long. It can be hard to know which one you should be doing and where you should be going. So they've also introduced the learning path, which curates all of this content and puts it into an order for you to watch to get you job ready. And even at the end of it, they have a full module on being job ready and finding your first job. If you don't know about Scrimba, it's a really awesome interactive platform where you can literally pause a video and code along inside of it. It's really cool how that works. Then you hit play and it just resumes off where the instructor was. You can fork off the cast, work on it. You can download the code and work on it locally on your computer. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can go. It's a really cool platform. I really strongly suggest you check it out. So the link for that is down in the description below. And a big thank you to Scrimba for bringing this video to you. We're looking at creating a custom select menu. So let's jump right into it. I do want to show here, I do have two browsers open. The one on the top is Firefox. The one on the bottom is Chrome, just because they render select fields very differently from one another. And it can be another reason why it would be nice to give yourself a little custom drop-down menu or drop-down button instead of using the defaults. And if we come and look at my markup, I have my custom select here, which is the parent for everything. And inside the custom select, I have my regular select menu like you would normally do. And I have here a span. Now, I'm not a real big fan of having empty markup for design elements. There is a way that you could actually do this all using just the parent here and using a before and after pseudo element just on this. But in this case, I do want to look, because I'm going to do a little bit extra, and we're going to see, I'm going to use two pseudo elements on this one. So for that, but if you only wanted one pseudo element on the whole thing to keep just a down arrow, you could actually get this all done without this span here. That could be a little challenge to yourself to see if you can figure that one out. But let's jump into here, and you can see I haven't really done much. I've just given it a box shadow so far. So the very first thing I'm going to do is come in and let's give this a font size to make it a little bit bigger. Just because it's a bit small and for demo purposes, I think it's going to be nice if it's a bit bigger, and we should give it some padding. The default select menus are very hard to style, but one thing we can do to make them look better is to give them some padding. So I'm going to go with 1em on the left and right and 1.5 on the top and bottom. So it's going to just get a little bit bigger like that. And now you can see I have my drop down there, and you can see here now already you can see there is a difference between Chrome and Firefox. Firefox, when you hover on top, the button gets highlighted a bit, and these are more spaced out, whereas here they're much tighter in Chrome and the button doesn't highlight, and the arrow even looks a little bit different in the two to begin with. I've also chosen a color ahead of time, which is this, which is a dark blue, and then I'll just give a regular color of white for the text so we can still see it. When you give these to your select menu, you can see that I have my drop down is working. All those colors have inherited through to the options. And everything is looking good, except you'll notice that that background color doesn't come onto this button here. And that's kind of awkward, right? It's kind of weird that that doesn't happen, whereas here it does come through. One thing that you'll see a lot is you can do an appearance none, which is not going to make it look like a button anymore, which is, it still is a drop-down, but it gets rid of the drop-down thing that was sort of coming by default. It is something you can do on lots of form elements to get rid of their default styling. But in this case, we're not going to need it, so I'm not going to do it, but I thought I would show it to you. And you do see that in a lot of tutorials and stuff online as well. But we're going to be just hiding this away. Now, one thing I am going to add here is a border of 0. It's not going to change the Chrome one, but there is a small border in the Firefox one. So when I hit save there, you should see that border disappears. There is a small border on this button, but again, we're going to be covering that button up anyway, so not a big deal. Now for the for our custom button, so for that, I'm going to do my custom arrow, and we need to make it appear. So for now, I'm going to use like a color just so we can see it really well, and we'll use red. So we'll set a background of red on this, and it's not really even going to show up at first because I do want to do a display of block. The default for a span is inline. So in this case, I want to switch it over to block. If ever you're not sure about inline block and what's the difference and when you should use which one, I do have a video, so there should be a card popping up on that right now that dives into the three of them and the differences between those. So we still don't see it though because there's no content in it. So I am going to come in and let's just give it a height of 1 rem for now and a width of 1 rem for now. And we should see it appear. Now it's appearing all the way down here. Why is it all the way down there? Let's go and take a look. And it is coming after my select menu. It's just in the regular flow right now. So we don't want it to do that. We want to pull it out of the regular flow and we want to position it on top of where this button is. To be able to do that, we want to come in and give it a position of absolute. The only problem with this is when I first hit save, nothing's really going to change, but it was pulled out of the flow. But if I want to position this now, I can say, well, I want it to be in the top right. So I can say top 0, and I want to say right 0. Except when I hit save, it's not going to move to here. It's going to move all the way up to here. And actually, we don't need to see 2 of these. Let's just hide that away for now. And hit save, and you can see it's popped up to the top corner there. And that's just the way position absolute works. By default, it's going on the viewport, unless we tell it something else to look at. So in this case, the other thing, and it has to be a parent or a grandparent, so it can't be a sibling, so that's why I can't use my select menu here. But I do have my custom select, which is the parent of my custom arrow. If we come back to here, I have my custom select, and inside of there we have my custom arrow. So by saying custom select and giving this a position, and I'm going to give it position relative just so nothing actually changes on it, but now the red box or my custom arrow there is being positioned exactly where I want it to be. Now, the other advantage with having this set up is for the height, we can just come in and say 100% and it will match the height of its parent. But obviously the width needs a bit of fixing here. I think we're going to go pretty big. We'll go with like 4 because I do want it to be a nice almost square button. If you want it to be a perfect square, you might have to play around with your values a little bit. I'm not worried about being a perfect square, but I do want it to be a lot bigger. Let's just turn this whole thing off for a second. I do want it to be a lot bigger than this little thin thing that's showing up here. So we are going to go with, I think a 4 rem is perfect on that, and I could do 4M. It should look exactly the same. So that's looking good. The only thing is my overall, so now if I click here, it's working, but this is where, see, if I click here, I can pull that down, but if I click on top of this red thing, it's not activating my select menu. And that's kind of weird because people are gonna, we like having that arrow there because it's a visual clue for people that they can click on it. If I just saw a box like this, I wouldn't think I can click on it. I would just think it says lorem and I wouldn't know why. And obviously it wouldn't say lorem in the real world, but I wouldn't know that it's clickable until I have something here. But let's say we had our arrow in here and then I tried clicking on it and it doesn't work. That's a fail, right? So we want to make this a clickable, or we don't want this to be clickable, but we want what is underneath it to be clickable. And because this red box is sitting on top of the other one, it's blocking. I'm clicking and the browser's recognizing the click on the red. It's not recognizing, it's saying I'm clicking on this red thing. It's not paying attention to what's behind it. So this is where the whole point of this video, I guess, is the pointer events none. And that means anything that we use a pointer event, and what's a pointer? It's your mouse, it's your finger, it's whatever's interacting with the page. It will no longer register anything with it. It's as if it's there visually, but as far as the browser is concerned, I can't click on it. It's just a visual element now. So now if I click, you can see it actually still activates and deactivates my select menu, which is great. Now I want a bit nicer of a color in there, so we're going to switch that out for this one, which I'd already had saved, so it looks a little bit nicer. I do think the spacing's a little bit weird now too, and especially if I go with a long one, you can see like there's a period there that's actually being hidden because it's going underneath my button, which is really, really awkward. So my button has a width of 4M on it. So what I would want to do here is with my padding, I have 1.1 on the top and bottom, 1.5 on this side. But I think what I'm going to do, so 1M, and then I'm going to go pretty big, like a 6M here. And I did that wrong. 1.5 on that side and a 6 over on this side. Not 16. There we go. Maybe that's a little big, 5. So what that's doing is it's making sure I have padding all the way around. And I think just as like a visual look, it looks a little bit nicer when it's stretched out like that anyway. And now if you had a long one, it would fit the entire thing, but it would never go underneath my button. Because actually, let's pull up our dev tools here and just take a look. You can see the padding of it stopping it here. And maybe we could even drop that to a 4. So now you can see it's like equal spacing all the way around, because the padding is starting here and the padding is going all the way out to here. So it's giving us that nice area here where my text will live, but it will never go underneath my button, which is really, really important for that. You know, if it can go underneath your button, you have a problem. And it's one of the things you do want to be careful with if you're building out something custom like this, because by default, the browser, it's not going to cause any issues, but we can introduce issues when we're doing stuff like that or like this. And now the last thing I want to do is, it still doesn't look clickable, so now we do have to bring in those arrows that we want. So for that, I am going to go to my custom arrow here, and I want, as I said, 2 pseudo elements, custom arrow after. So since we need to, I'm just putting any styles that are the same on all of them, absolute. I'm going to be using the border trick here, so I'm going to give them a width and a height of 0. And if you don't know the border trick, it's pretty simple, but it does involve three borders to be able to do this. And I do have a video dedicated to how this works. So if you don't know about it, you see me do it and you're really confused, I go into detail in the video, so that it should be popping up now about how this actually works and why it makes a triangle. Because I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, I don't get why that's making a triangle. And I was very confused. But it makes a lot of sense once you understand how it works. So for this to work, you do need 3 borders. So I'm going to go with a border left, a border right, and a border, we want a top for this one, and we'll use the bottom for the after. So I'm going to do 1M. You want it to be solid, but we want these two to be transparent. The top and, actually we could use the same thing for both. So the left and the right are going to be 1M solid and transparent, and my top one is going to be the same size. It's going to be solid, but it's going to have a color. Let's just put red for now. And you can see it's made a triangle pointing down. So that's pretty cool. And if you switch this to bottom, it's going to be the other way around, where it's going to point up. And again, if you're confused a little bit by that, I do recommend you check out that video. So we'll leave that one point. Actually, maybe this one should be bottom. It would make more sense that the before, you know, we have a before and an after. So my before can point up, my after can point down. So basically I want to take this same thing. Now my button's a little bit big actually, and I'm repeating myself here a bunch of times. So what I think I'm also going to do is come and use a custom property here. If you don't know about custom properties, they're amazing. They're like CSS variables. So I'm just going to put size, and we'll do a 1M for now. And I think this value will change, but that just means here, here, and here, I can do var size, and it's going to use that number for all of them. So if I come here and I change this to a 0.5, it's going to change, like now all of these are 0.5. Super amazing. Use custom properties, they're great. And so let's go back up to 1, because 0.5 is a bit small. 1's a bit big, but we'll sort it out once we have my after as well. So actually I'm going to take this, I'm going to do a Shift Alt and push down, and it's going to duplicate the whole thing. If you're on a Mac, I think there's an option in there instead of an Alt, and I can change that to an after. And I can just change, so if I do, let's do that, and then just change this to border top. And that should give me my 2 arrows. Obviously I don't want them to be red, and I could come up with a custom property for this too, I guess. But I'm not gonna bother. It's only in 2 spots, but RGBA, and the easiest thing, 255, 255, 255, and like a 0.5. You can see the 2 arrows now, and because they are a little bit transparent, you can see that they're overlapping a bit. And now it's just about getting them to the right spot. So where do I want them? I want them both to have a left of 50%. So that will move the leftmost point right to the middle. And then I'm going to do a transform, translate. And the translate might be different for both, actually. I'm going to have to, actually, yeah, the translate's going to be a little bit different. No, it doesn't have to be. Okay, left is fine. I'm just trying to think. We'll do the same for top then. Top is 50%. Yeah, we're going to play with that number a little bit. But then my translate's going to be a negative 50, negative 50. I always forget if one of... There we go. So that should be dead center. But now I want to move one of them up and one of them down a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is take the top off and just change them up here. So my top on this one could be, would it be 30? Would that move that one up? And I think I mucked this whole thing up, but then I can do a top of, say, 60%. Oh, it did work. Ha! Look at that. Perfect. And they should be more or less right in the middle. I think maybe a 40 and a 60 would make more sense. Oh, they're going to overlap then. So say I did 40, 35 and 65. Ah, there we go. And it's starting to look pretty good, except I do find them really, really big. So now it's just where we can come here, and 0.5 is really small, so let's try a 0.65. And of course now I changed the size, so they're too far apart. So maybe a 30 and there, 40 and 60 is working perfectly now. And they look dead centered, and now we get a nice little drop down just like that. And let's check it out and see what it looks like in Chrome. And we can see here in Chrome, it's looking pretty much the same. Now, obviously this part does look a little bit different, but that is the nature of using different browsers. And it is a bit of a nature of select menus being really hard to style. But that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a couple things along the way. So again, if you want to know more about that border trick, it's one of those things that even in the comments of the video, a lot of people said, like, shouldn't you be using clip path? It's so much easier. Yes, 100% clip path a lot of the time is the better option, but sometimes things like this are the better option. It's not often, but this is one of those use cases where I do think it is a cool idea. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Whatever you do, do make sure you check out the Scrimba career path. As I said at the beginning, my course, you have full access to my full 15-hour course, the Responsive Web Design Bootcamp, if you join up for that, as well as their entire learning path and a whole bunch of other courses as well. There's a lot of very high quality content from many very high quality instructors, so do make sure that you check it out. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Big thank you to my patrons for helping make all of this possible with their monthly contributions. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I can't thank you enough for your support. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.